Warm welcome, Enolia, our friend. Since the Third World Parliament of Spirituality held for Africa, we created a spiritual parliament for Africa a couple of years back. And let me take it as a privilege to introduce Enolia, Manisha, Monica ji.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can you introduce?
Yeah, I'll share about the Enolia, ma'am.
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
So let me introduce Enolia, ma'am. And she's a modern day medicine woman, author, social entrepreneur, and award-winning international speaker. Wow, ma'am, wow. And she shares ancient wisdom to enrich our modern lives. And she has traveled the world to study with indigenous and elders of the Ojibwa Lakota. Sorry, if I'm pronouncing something incorrectly, you are going to correct it. And Yaqui of North America to the Mapuche of Chile to the Luhya of Kenya, just to name a few. This foundation guided Enolia to teach, counsel, heal, and empower others to reach their goals. Wow. Her 20 plus years of navigating the dynamics of the corporate world fortified her with leadership development, performance excellence, and empowerment coach. A natural orator, Enolia harmonizes corporate experience with a broad knowledge of base, including many facets of energetic medicine, and all of which are focused on healing and empowerment of the souls. Wow. Welcome, Enolia, ma'am, and over to you. If I have pronounced incorrectly, I'm really sorry. You can correct me that way.
You did wonderful. No problems at all. Thank you so much for the beautiful welcome. I am excited to be here. And I'd like to share with you my thoughts in terms of healing. Healing from the perspective of self-realization. We all reach a precipice in our life when we want to understand what our purpose is. We want to know what it is that we are here for, why we are here, what we can contribute to humanity. And in that perspective, we are living that human life of doing and the roles that we play and the being that we feel that we have to do in order to fulfill those roles. And somewhere in the midst of that, we get lost. We get lost in the roles, thinking that the roles define us versus us defining the role. So part of this perspective is that we step back and we become the observer. And in becoming the observer, what it is to observe yourself as the being as you are. So for a moment, if you were to step back and you were to look at the roles that you played in life, like a hat that you could take off, and you took off the hat of the mother or the dutiful father, and you took off the hat of the uncle or the auntie or the nephew or the niece or the employer, the employee, and you took off all of those hats, what do you have left when the role is no longer defined in a human way? You have that energy being. You have who you are as a light. Without the human expectations, definitions that we all take on in order to navigate this thing called life. And when looking at that perspective of the fact that you are energy housed in a physical container, and that the roles are no longer defining you, who are you? What are you? I subscribe that we are all energy beings housed in that physical container. And then once you're able to introspect and understand that that's where you start, that's where we begin. And that what we are, who we are at the heart of it all, of that energy, that love, that light, that amplification of energy, then no matter what role that you put on, the father, the mother, the niece, the nephew, the employer, the employee, what you are at the core of who you are amplifies through the role. That's where we want to be. And to be conscious of it, to be conscious of the fact that that's where we are, that's who we are, is the goal. It's akin to taking your shoes off and walking barefoot. When you're walking barefoot, every step of the road that you take, you're conscious of it because you're barefoot. Because you want to know and notice what's under your feet. You want to engage and make sure that you're feeling the reality of that which supports you. Because you could get hurt if you're not aware. So you're conscious of every step that you take. But we walk around with our shoes on. We walk around without that consciousness or awareness each step because we feel that we have this superficial covering that allows us to act and be and do and not have to be conscious of every step that we take. So what are the tools that keeps us in that self-realization, that understanding that every step that we take counts, every decision that we make counts? Let's start off with the power of our voice. You see, when we look at the power of our voice, that intonation, that amplification of the tone and of what we have to say, if we understand that that's important, that's one part of it. But what we're not taking into consideration at times is the amplification and the recording of what we have to say. So Dr. Masaru Emoto shared through his work that water records. And if water records, the resonance and amplification of words, whether they're verbal or written, it's capturing everything that we say. It's capturing everything that we think. Water records. This is why when you bless water, that the water actually physically changes its state based on that amplification. And if you're not familiar with Dr. Masaru's work, I would suggest to take a look at it. It's remarkable. So we know that the recorded word, if positive and attached to water, sits for 3 days, that it actually crystallizes. It changes the state of the water. And if it's a negative word, it changes the state of the water over 3 days. So understanding that, how is the power of our voice affecting the waters of our body? How are we recording that which we think, which we amplify, which we resonate in the waters of our body? Notice. That is part of our tool set of understanding that what we say counts. What we think is meaningful, and it is recorded in our bodies. And it has purpose. And that which we are recording is that which we are amplifying. So wouldn't you want that amplification and that engagement to be in the most positive of manners as we walk and navigate through life? Another tool would be fear and how we define it. I love to define fear very, very distinctly. Fear is when we are out of our boundary of comfort. This is not to say that when we're afraid and we are given a warning sign that, okay, we are in bodily harm's way, possible harm's way. And so therefore our instinct goes up and we come into a survival mode. But even then, fear can't be present because when it's present, we are unable to respond. And until we get over the fear, then we actually act on that survival mode because fear paralyzes. So we actually move the emotion of fear aside in order to act and survive and do and be. So if we take that side away and we look at our comfort zone, and it's just us sitting in the comfort zone of where our limited boundaries would allow us to be based on our limited thinking. When we redefine fear, all we're doing is redefining that boundary. Going beyond the precipice of that boundary, expanding our boundary, releasing the limited thinking that creates that boundary. So another part of that self-awareness is understanding where our boundaries reside and expanding them, moving them, and making them ever so grand to operate. The third tool I would subscribe is how we handle and process judgment. Judgment is something that is projected onto us every day. Judgment is something that we exercise every day. But the moment that judgment is projected onto us and we attach emotion to that judgment, taking on what has been projected onto us as our truth, we've just given our power away. We've just given our power away because we're subscribing to something that may or may not be our truth just because it was projected onto us. So how we handle that perspective is another tool of self-awareness. How we choose to perceive life and look at life. Whether we have a beautiful view or a negative view, either takes us from our balance of navigating through life or not. So understanding that also makes a difference. Then there is just facing our limited belief structure. What is it that would have us stop at a certain point or a certain boundary that we have attained the perspective of, whether it's based on culture, our upbringing, our circumstance, how we've engaged, how we've been rejected. All of these aspects right around us, establishing our belief system, how we've read, the expansion of our knowledge, how we've engaged, the experiences that we took on, and the response to them. Again, our belief system. And then one of the most important tools is that tool of forgiveness. Because forgiveness is freedom. Forgiveness defines how we view life. Forgiveness either allows us to lift the veil of pain in order to view life, or keep the curtain down. And when that curtain is down, our view is tainted. And when our view is tainted, it is biased. And when it is biased, it does not allow us to engage and cultivate decisions based on the inputs that we've received, but instead the pain that we've gone. All of the tools that I've named are tools that we already possess. We do not have to go outside of ourselves in order to work with these tools, glean these tools, and cultivate these tools to bring our self-awareness so acutely in and aware and heightened that when we walk and we navigate through life, we can see what's coming at us and how to navigate and how not to just automatically react, but to step back and let things unveil. This is all part of our self-awareness toolkit, healing, and journey. Because if I know that I've been traumatized, then I know that I'm looking through and looking at life through that trauma. So I can reflect inward and address the trauma and work on that trauma and heal that child that's been hurt within. Embrace her and let that child know I'm able to survive and move forward and engage in life. And it doesn't have to be through the eyes of this pain. So understanding all of these aspects, putting them together as a toolkit for my self-awareness journey is everything that I need to heal and to work within. And it allows me to come and step into my power. And that power has nothing to do with power over anyone, controlling anyone, or external to me, but it has to do with the power within me to stand in my truth, to understand where my limited belief system is, to understand how I handle and process judgment, how I redefine fear, to understand that my voice is powerful and engage it. And it allows me to stand up in my truth, in my power, independent of outside biases, but just looking from that divine within. So I share with you my work, my foundation, how I take those who are interested through the journey of self-realization and self-healing. The work is not for those who are not willing to step up. You have to want it within in order to truly, truly make the shift and that conscious transformation. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Enolia ma'am. Such a wonderful talk you have given and the beautiful toolkit that you have provided to us. Well, listening to you, I was remembering one quote. You can change your world by changing your words. And remember, death and life are in the power of tongue only. And the best part that you told about, as you were saying that there's a power in your voice. Whatever you speak, that creates the world. And then you talked about the comfort zone. Then you talked about the unlimited potential that we have. We can create anything at the moment of time. And the tool that you give, that judgment, we always, every time, every moment, we are judging people. People are judging us and we add emotions to it. I completely agree with you. That is what it is. And the best part that you talked about, the tool of forgiveness. Wow. That is the way you are free from all the traumas, the fears, the anxiety. That is the best tool of, for self-awareness. And you talked about, embracing, you talked about engaging. Wow, you are so powerful. Every individual on this earth is so powerful. that they can create the whole world from within only. So thank you so much for such powerful and wonderful talk that you have given. So much insights we got from your talk. Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you for giving your precious time to us. Thank you and God bless you. Anybody would like to ask, and because she has come specially here, and we really want everybody to, take some, golden nuggets from her, as she's here with us. She can spare some more time with us. That will be our, we are privileged to be that you are here with us. Anybody would like to share? Yogendra sir.
Yeah. So thank you, Enolia. Enolia Foti is a grandmother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and she's a very wise spiritual lady living in Angola. And we are going to do, yeah, we are going to do some podcasts on the ancient civilizations of the world very soon. And there are more than 46 civilizations in the world. Many have become extinct. But the major civilizations like Greco-Roman, Egyptian, Mesopotamian, Indus Valley, Chinese, and Mayan civilizations, which are surviving to a certain extent. And remaining small civilizations like Hittite, Mettite civilizations, and so many pagan civilizations of Europe, the Aboriginal and Maoris, the many Red Indian, Yaqui Indian civilizations have become much extinct. Despite all these things, so-called extinct civilizations also have left some mark in the form of excavations, in the form of archaeological discoveries, in the form of numismatics, and some other clay molds, tablets. They have left some mark. Based upon this, the historians, archaeologists, and spiritual people have connected so many dots, drawing a beautiful prehistorical and historical stories, valid with evidence. They're going to pull everything out and record everything for the benefit of the mankind. They're going to do that. Myself and Enolia are going to work together to produce, contribute in this direction very soon. Thank you, Enolia.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the opportunity. I feel honored to be here with all of you. And it's us. We are those beacons of light. So I'm here with you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.